Alrighty, so the last video you saw me actually driving the thing. It was just around the cul-de-sac, but I did drive it. So this video, I will go over how I got there and the new list, what's left. So starting out, I believe in the last video, I did cooling system, headers, spark plugs, and maybe something else. I'm not sure. Some of this might be redundant from the last video, but here are some of the things that I've done in the past couple months, weeks, however. I'm sure it's months because I take forever. So I did a lot of little stuff, just like the dipstick and vacuum hose routing, bleeding the brakes and the clutch. I think I did some stuff with the accessory drive. Obviously I had that new water pump because dog food was in it from the rats, or mice I should say. I did some wiring. There's a power distribution block. Goes to a couple things. I buttoned up a lot of stuff underneath the car. Still have a little bit to do. I already went over the coilovers. I welded up the drive shaft a little more. I'll get to that on the to-do list in a second. Actually, let's go here. Oh. Jeez. So I have a remote mounted battery. You can see I need a smaller battery, but for now this will work. And I'm gonna make a little battery box here. But I've got that, and I got a little remote or a disconnect there, which is kind of cool. But that's all done. I did the fuel pump hot wire kit. It's still out and about, making sure it worked right. And then for the interior, let's see. Oh crap. See, I pulled it out, and then when I pulled it back in, I pulled it too far to the left. So bear with me, I gotta try to squeeze in here. Oh gosh, okay. So, gosh, I have no room over here. I should have, hold on. So the interior was still ripped apart. Did a little bit more wiring. Pardon my reach here, I got it. There is, you'll see right here, I don't know if I showed you this before, but there's a power distribution block on when I turn the key on. Power distribution, it's a fuse box basically. So when I do the aftermarket gauges, which I'll get to in a second, I can run those straight to there. That ECU is going to be mounted inside that. So that's all good. I noticed, and it's sort of just like, I don't know, kicked me in the balls when when I first had the video of it on the lift with the wheels spinning, and then it took me a while to actually get the thing driving because I want to put this in reverse, and you can overcome the reverse lockout solenoid, which again is on the list. But I put it in reverse and nothing happened. Thankfully, I got it to a point, I did some research, and I got it to a point where if I put it in reverse and just force it and just, stiff arm it, it'll eventually catch and go in reverse. But that really pissed me off. But I have it, so it's good enough. I did a little bit of work on the gas pedal. I did the fuel stuff. I think that's about it. So then you saw I got to drive it. It drove fine. And there I am squeezing through here again. All right. So now we will go over the list of crap I still got to do. All right, now let's go over the list. New list, it's a big one still. That's the problem. You think it's close. It's like, oh, I got to drive it and I'm almost done. And then you got 1,000 other things. So first on the list is exhaust. I'll get into that in a minute because I can show you what I'm doing. That's what I'm currently working on because the thing is so loud. It's hard to concentrate when you got this open header, heads and cam V8. You try to start it and then you try to look in the engine bay to see if anything's going on, but it's so loud you can't even think. So I'm going to do exhaust. Got some stuff coming for that. Finish up the fuel pump wiring. You saw that was kind of a rat's nest back there, but it works, so now I can tuck it all away. Got to wire up those cooling fans. I think I can do that straight to the ECU. I don't have to get an external thermostat or anything for that. Brake lines. There's a leak still. That pisses me off. That is probably my least favorite thing that I've had to do on this car, just because it's given me so much trouble. So I got to fix the brake line leak. I doubt I can just tighten a fitting. That'll probably be where I have to rebuild the line. A lot of times if you tighten a fitting too much, it'll end up breaking the piping itself, the brake lines. But not looking forward to that. Put back the interior. You saw that. Driveshaft. I'll get under the car in a minute and show you what's going on with that. I have down here Evo suspension. That is because, so I originally wanted to go with the stock 3000 GT electronic suspension, and then I'm doing some cool stuff with that. However, the parts are almost impossible to find, and the shocks are almost impossible to find, and you don't know if they're going to be in good condition. Obviously, I have mine, but they're blown. I can push them in with my hand. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to do the Evo adapters, and I'm going to go with the softest Evo coilovers that I can find. I think they're 8 in the front, 6 in the back for spring rate. I'll try to do that. I don't want this thing to ride rough. It's not worth it. Then I need to do the tack and the speedo. The tack will just be a little digital converter box thingy. I did that on my RX-7s back in the day, so that should be easy. Speedo, I don't know yet. I haven't looked into that. Water temp sensor, I can show you that in a minute too, so bear with me. I'm just going to sit down and talk about this stuff now, and then I'll show you that in a second. Oil pressure sensor, or gauge, I should say, water temp gauge, oil pressure gauge. Clean up some of the wiring in the interior there. You saw hood latch. Obviously that's not on there yet. This whole front clip thingy right there, I just gotta have made this whole front end removable. I just gotta bolt that up. It's just sort of sitting there. I need to get the side skirts on, and I have to do the all-wheel steering delete still. I did that on the last shell. I haven't done it on this one. I don't know how that's going to drive. I think it only turns way less than 10 degrees of steering in the back. But right now it's just open, so it's not locked in place. So we'll see how that drives. Got to bolt the spoiler back down. The clutch line grommet I have written on here. What that is the clutch line, as you know, will go from there down into the transmission. However, it's butting up against some, not sharp metal, but it's butting up against a metal edge. So I need to insulate that somehow so it doesn't chop up that line. I gotta go make sure all my subframe bolts are good, and steering bolts, there's a couple bolts that are missing on the suspension, little things like that. Reverse lockout, I just bought, actually that's right here. Just bought a few sensors there so I can do the reverse lockout, then headlights and some finishing touches. So this is what I was just reading. Exhaust. What I am doing for the time being, in the future I'm going to have some tricks set up, but not for now. Welcome underneath my car. So I've got the exhaust down to there right now. So I need to do the Y pipe, obviously. Well, I shouldn't say obviously. A lot of people might think I'm going duals. So what I'm going to do is Y those right behind there into a single 3.5 inch. These are 3-inch pipes. Into a single 3.5 inch. The 3.5 inch is going to go all the way to the back to the stock cat back. And right before there, I'm going to have a cutout. So there's going to be a 3.5 inch muffler also right here. So it'll be Y pipe into a 3.5 inch muffler into the stock cat back. So, and then there'll be a cutout right after that 3.5 inch muffler. So it'll be nice and quiet, and then I'll pop open that cutout, and then bam, we'll be good to go. So that's what I'm going to be doing for exhaust. I ordered some extra piping because I don't have quite enough, but I've already done sort of the mock-up, and I got enough space for dual 3-inch, and then we'll be good to go. The next item I was going to talk about is the drive shaft. I guess I'll try to crawl all the way under there. So, right now what I did was a two-piece. I chopped off the third piece of the stock drive shaft and then blind welded it. You can see, but just put the input shaft coming off of that as sort of a template. So it works. And what I was thinking about doing was going and taking that second piece drive shaft that you're looking at and taking that off and bringing it to a drive shaft shop and having them sort of remake it, you know, so it's proper and balanced and all that kind of crap. However, I don't know if you can tell, it's a fairly steep angle. I might still do that just to get things going, but that second piece of this drive shaft is a pretty steep angle. I might end up going with a single piece drive shaft. I'm gonna have to do some tunnel modifications, as you can see, but I might still have to do that. I don't know. I haven't made up my mind on that. I might do the second piece for now, and then do a single piece in the future. I don't know. So that's where I'm at with the drive shaft. Next, I was talking about the water pressure and oil pressure gauges. I went for now with these Bosch gauges. They're cheap electrical, but I wanted sort of a factory look, and I think Bosch does a great job at that. If I go boost in the future, which I intend to, I'll need some other, you know, I'll need a boost and air fuel and all that kind of crap. But I'm going to take out these stock ones, of course, and then shove that guy in there. And the goal is to have these even maybe behind this plastic piece, but I want this to look as OEM as possible. Right, and I think these Bosch gauges do a pretty good job of that. So I'll do water temperature, oil pressure, to be determined on this, because if I go forced induction, I will need a wideband and a boost gauge, but I might end up, you know, going with an AEM style of that, maybe right there and there, and then having another Bosch gauge here. I don't know yet, but oil pressure gauge is on the way. I got the water temp gauge. Those two are needed. Back to this. Let's see. I already talked about the Evo suspension, so I don't have to do that. Wiring and that. Clutch line grommet. I talked about it. Let me just go ahead and show you. Whoa. That right there. See how the clutch line's against this? I'm calling it grommet just for my own reference, but I need to guard that. It's not touching up here. I need to guard that because I don't want this rubbing on this while I'm driving, and then that would suck. Alright, let's see. Here's an example of just little finishing, like putting all the bolts in. Like that. Yeah. Alright. Well, I think that's it. Here's my cooling fan wires. That'll be easy. Okay. Alright, that's it. I got my list. First thing I'm going to do is exhaust. And I'll probably make a video after I do that, because who doesn't want to hear it? And then, yeah, see you next time.